Most people think they're searching for meaning, but actually, they're not. What they're actually searching for is permission. Permission to start. Permission to change. Permission to become someone else. Permission to walk away from a life that doesn't fit. And because they're waiting for permission, they spend years calling that waiting finding their purpose. Maybe you've felt it. That strange sensation that you're moving but not really going anywhere. You wake up. You check your phone. You answer messages. You complete tasks. You make plans. You consume information. You go to sleep. Then you do it again. Nothing is necessarily wrong, but something feels missing. Not excitement. Not happiness. Ownership. The uncomfortable feeling isn't that your life is bad. It's that your life feels borrowed. Borrowed opinions. Borrowed ambitions. Borrowed definitions of success. Borrowed fears. Borrowed goals. Someone told you what mattered before you were old enough to question it. Get good grades. Get the job. Build the career. Make money. Stay relevant. Stay visible. Stay ahead. And for a while, those instructions feel like meaning. Until one day they don't. Then something disturbing happens. You realize you've been climbing a ladder without ever asking who put it there. This is where most people panic. Because underneath all the noise, a terrifying possibility begins to emerge. What if there is no script? What if nobody actually knows what they're doing? What if the purpose you've been searching for doesn't exist? Most people hear that question and immediately try to escape it. They distract themselves. They numb themselves. They bury themselves in entertainment, productivity, outrage, trends, identities, and endless digital noise. Anything to avoid looking directly into the void. Friedrich Nietzsche looked, and what he saw changed everything. When Nietzsche spoke about the Ubermensch, he wasn't describing a superior human being. He wasn't talking about a hero. He wasn't talking about a master race. He was describing a person capable of something extraordinarily rare. Someone who could face a meaningless universe without collapsing. Someone who could stop asking reality what life means and start answering the question themselves. Most people want meaning to be discovered. The Ubermensch creates it. That sounds inspiring until you understand what it actually requires. Because creating meaning sounds romantic. Right up until the moment you realize nobody is coming to help. No cosmic instruction manual. No universal checklist. No hidden authority with the correct answer. Just you. And that is where the protocol begins. The first step is deconstruction. Look carefully at your life. Not the life you imagine. The actual one. Which of your values are truly yours? Which opinions did you arrive at independently? Which goals would still matter if nobody could see them? If status disappeared tomorrow? If validation disappeared tomorrow? If applause disappeared tomorrow? What would remain? Most people never ask these questions because they're afraid of the answer. They suspect that much of their identity was inherited rather than chosen. And they're usually right. The second step is transvaluation, a word Nietzsche used for the process of creating new values. Not adopting new values, creating them. This is where everything changes. Stop asking, what should I do with my life? That's the wrong question. The real question is, what am I willing to suffer for? Because every meaningful thing comes with a cost. Love costs vulnerability. Mastery costs repetition. Strength costs discomfort. Truth costs certainty. Creation costs failure. Meaning is not found by avoiding suffering. Meaning is found by deciding which suffering is worth enduring. And once you've found that answer, the third step begins. The daily act. This is where nearly everyone fails. Because insight feels powerful. Action feels ordinary. People think purpose arrives as a revelation. It doesn't. Purpose is built through repetition. One decision, then another, then another. Long after the excitement disappears. Long after motivation leaves. Long after nobody is watching. You show up anyway. Not because you're inspired. Because you've decided. That distinction changes everything. The person waiting for inspiration remains dependent on circumstances. The person who has decided becomes dangerous. Not dangerous to others. Dangerous to excuses. Dangerous to passivity. dangerous to the version of themselves that wants comfort more than growth. And this is where Nietzsche's idea becomes uncomfortable. Because the moment you become the author of your own meaning, you lose your favorite escape route. Blame. You can no longer point at society. You can no longer point at fate. You can no longer point at your circumstances and say they wrote your story. The moment you claim authorship, you inherit responsibility. Complete responsibility. And that is why most people never truly want freedom. They say they do. But what they actually want is certainty. A label. A system. A script. Someone to tell them they're doing it right. Freedom sounds beautiful from a distance. Up close, it feels like standing at the edge of a cliff. Because there are no guardrails. Only choices. And consequences. This is why so many people feel lost today. Not because meaning has disappeared, but because the old sources of meaning are collapsing faster than people can replace them. For generations, people inherited answers. Now they inherit questions. And many don't know what to do with them. Nietzsche's answer was simple, terrifying, and liberating. Become the answer. Stop searching for a purpose that exists somewhere out there waiting to be discovered. Stop waiting for the perfect sign. Stop waiting for certainty. Stop waiting for permission. The point of life is not hidden. The point of life is built. One choice at a time. One value at a time. One act at a time. And if everything feels meaningless right now, that feeling may not be evidence that life is empty. It may simply be evidence that you've spent too long living inside meanings that were never yours. The void isn't your enemy. It's the empty plot of land where your life is supposed to be built. So build. Not because the universe demands it. Not because society approves of it. Not because success is guaranteed. Build because, in the end, the meaning of your life will not be determined by what you believed. It will be determined by what you created. And whether you create it or not, the responsibility is already yours.